it used to be a little frustrating because if you made one change to a DNS record, or added a new one or deleted one or whatever it may be, like you said, you were waiting a couple of days, potentially, and it made it hard. Like jobs that could have took maybe even a few minutes, end up taking a few days, and so it's just that was certainly a big pain, and so but now, right, the world's more connected now than ever. Satellites and fiber and everybody. I mean everybody in your block, might have a fiber connection, these days. Well, so it's like we're more connected than ever. And so with that, the DNS servers are more connected than ever. That's the reason why it would take so long. Those records had to propagate throughout the entire internet. And so whatever it took to get from, here to China is what it took. It took time to get across the data. DNS servers had to update themselves. And it all depended on how often these internet companies had their DNS servers set, to update. I mean, it didn't go out. They don't go out. They used to not go out constantly, and because there wasn't the resources there for the server to do so. And the internet power, they didn't constantly go out there and check for new records and update it. Now they do, more so than ever. And so DNS records, you make one change, to your DNS record wherever you are, those changes get propagated. It's kind of like, again, there's not just one, right? There's not just one post office,
Right.
and I mean, there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of post offices probably. It's the same thing with DNS servers. They're all over the place. There's DNS servers, major cities and across the world. There's DNS servers just like that, and it's the same thing. Like the letter has to get delivered from one, post office to the next, till it gets to its intended, destination. And so it works exactly like that, in the DNS world. And so thank God that now, as soon as I make a DNS, it's pretty incredible. I'll make a DNS change, and usually, like David said, within minutes, it is. You can go to another network somewhere or use your phone and check it or whatever, which is on a different network, and that DNS change is already taking place. And so it was a much needed, a really useful thing that they've implemented the way it works now.
Yeah. So the DNS can propagate within seconds now, but then so now we're back down to the user level. So if you're sitting at your computer and you've using your web browser to access maybe one of your services, your website or your email, well, your browser hasn't updated. It's sitting there static and it hasn't refreshed, and the browser has cache as well, so it's stuck. It still thinks the old information is true. So you have to take additional steps. Not only does the local telephone company have to cycle their cache and update their information, but then you also have to do that as a user in your browser. So you either got to pop open an incognito window, a private window, or you got to refresh. Worst case scenario, you have to quit the browser, restart your computer, and then reattempt to access the information. It's not quite that bad, but it used to be that bad. So it's definitely got a lot better